Hello, and welcome to B-Movie Euphoria's NOIRVEMBER. This month, I'll be watching a lot, not every single day, because wow, that was a lot. I'll be watching a lot of noir films. I love noir films. I love film noir. Uh, I don't really know a lot about it. I just know I like it. Look, I'm not gonna say I'm a film expert. I just watch a lot of films, and I like to talk about them. That's me. Anyway, so film noir, if you don't know what it is a genre of film that was kind of inspired by German expressionism of, I believe, like 1920s, and there's it is kind of categorized, or you can tell it's a film noir because it deals with a lot of dark shit, basically, because noir in French is black, dark, one of those things. Anyway, if you know it, send me a message. Tell me, Nick, you're a moron. It actually means this. But in noir films, it usually has to do with crime, passion, murder, suspense, death, crime, a lot of crime. And there's a lot of darkness in it. There's a lot of like shadows and fog and light coming through Venetian blinds, and there aren't always happy endings. Actually, a lot of noir films don't end happily, but they're so engrossing and so much fun because it deals with a real thing, which is the human drama, the desperation of the human spirit, the, uh, you know, je ne sais quoi, to, whatever that means. And so today, I have two films that I watched today. Um, we have the 1947 film. This is the first one I watched. Dark Passage with Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart. You might say, Nick, I don't want to watch a black and white movie. It's boring. That's why we have color now. No, that's not right. And shut up, because I'm talking. No, I'm just kidding. Don't shut up. Um, Black and white is such a different thing in general because all the colors are washed out, and because you don't get that vibrance of a color film. You really have to pay attention to character, and you have to pay attention to everything else that color doesn't provide, like things shining in, or like a black cat walks by, or something like that. And this one is just very, very good. I wouldn't say great, but it's very, very good. So it starts off. Uh, this man, Vincent Perry, escapes from prison, and he's on the run. So actually, the first like 40 minutes of this film are from his point of view, and it's really cool and kind of amazing because the cameras back then weren't small; they were huge. So all the like point of view stuff of him escaping and trying to get picked up by passing cars and stuff like that, and everything he goes through, it's really impressive because it's very well done. So he just escapes. He tries to hail a car. One stops by, and this guy that picks him up is just asking him all these questions. He's a total fucking creep. And so Vincent Perry is just like, fall out of that car. And he does, and then he just like bop 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 beats the shit out of this guy, and it's hilarious because you already hate this dude, and then he just like kind of gets him out of the car, and while he's taking his clothes to replace his prison garb, um, what's her name? Lauren Bacall comes by, and Irene Jansen is her name in the film, and she's suddenly like, "Get in the car, quick!" And he's like, "What the hell? Who are you?" And she very quickly tells him that she knows who he is. She believes that he did not kill his wife, which is why he went into prison, which he has said wholeheartedly, "I did not kill my wife," yada, yada, yada. She's like, "Get in the car. I'm getting you out of here. Anyway, so the film goes on. It's just so desperate. The film is so desperate because he's trying to get away from the cops, and then a what's her name? Agnes Moorehead is also trying to get him. We find out later that she was very jealous of him and his wife because she wanted to date Vincent, and I can't remember Agnes's name in the film, but she is absolutely the most sinister female I've seen in a film in a really long time. And so he's trying to get away from the cops, he's trying to get away from her, and at the same time he's just desperate and he's going insane because he doesn't know what to do. And then he meets this cabbie at one point who's like really nice to him, and I just love these characters that just pop up and completely sympathize with criminals even though they don't know who they are, and they're just like, yeah, I'll help you out. The cabbie knows a plastic surgeon, underground plastic surgeon, has him get his face surgeoned, and then for another like 10-20 minutes of the film you just see Humphrey Bogart in bandages. So you don't actually see Bogart until like the last 20 minutes of the movie, and then it really ramps up because he's got to get like he's trying to get out of town, and he has a new face, but people are still kind of like, "Who are you? I've seen you before, haven't I?" And so it's all very tense, and it's very fun. And then the guy that first picked him up, the very first driver that he beat the shit out of, he comes back, and we find out that he's a fucking seedy criminal that wants to get money out of Lauren Bacall's character. And so there's just so many elements going on. It's really fun. The only thing I don't really care about is the kind of romance between Humphrey Bogart and Bacall, which I'm sure everybody, that was their favorite part. But to me, I just didn't care. I just wanted to see what happened to Vincent Perry. Will he escape? Will he not? Will it be like some grand shootout? But it was extremely fun. I highly recommend it. This should be all over the place. It's not on Filmstruck anymore because they took that off the goddamn internet. Anyway, it should be easy to find because it's an all-time vintage classic, as it says up here. Moving on, we have yet another vintage classic and yet another Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall film, and that is Key Largo. They made, I believe, 5 films together, and this was the last film they made together, which is kind of sad. Oh, another thing about Dark Passage. This is the first film Humphrey Bogart wore a full hairpiece for. A little extra tidbit. Anyway, back to Key Largo. So this is a totally different story. It has to deal with this Humphrey Bogart was in the war, and he comes to this little hotel on one of the keys, one of the Florida Keys, Key Largo in this case, to visit the father of one of his fellow soldiers, the people he was in the war with. And the father's played by Lionel Barrymore, and when he gets to this place, he finds that there is a mobster there, played by Edward G. Robinson, who just always played mobsters and played them very well. There's a mobster there, and he's the only guest in this hotel. Him and his mall, gay, and his fellas, his brutes. And so they've basically taken over the hotel, but it's not until like the cops call or the cops are at the door that Edward G. Robinson is like, all right, you guys, all of you are hostages. Lauren Bacall plays the daughter of the hotel owner and father of Humphrey Bogart's war buddy. And so basically the entire film kind of takes place in a few rooms in this hotel while there's this hurricane raging outside, and it's just this turbulence between Edward G. Robinson, all of his cronies, and them basically waiting on another mobster to show up with some money for whatever reason, some mobster shit that was going on is going down, and then Edward G. Robinson and his crew are just going to take off in a boat. But so he's constantly just like Edward G. Robinson's character is constantly just getting more and more desperate and freaked out because he needs to get out of there, and he is, you know, he was deported from the U.S. and now he is like going to Cuba to try and start a new kind of crime family thing, and he just wants to get the hell out of there because the cops are after him and they don't want him in the States and they just want him dead, basically. So, and then Humphrey Bogart's character, this soldier, he's just like, he's kind of a little bit in the background because, they're threatening all their lives. And at one point, Edward G. Robinson gives him a gun and is like, "You're so tough, huh?" And I mean, he's talking wise every once in a while because, I mean, he's Humphrey Bogart. But Edward G. Robinson gives him a gun. He's like, "You think you're smart? Why don't you take me out right now?" And Humphrey Bogart does. And then Lauren Bacall's character is like, "You're a coward, you're a coward." And I'm like, think this through. Think this through. If he killed Edward G. Robinson, he dies. Everybody dies. It's a whole bloodbath. Nobody. Anyway, she forgives him. Eventually, he ends up having to be, because he's the only one that knows how to sail a boat, apparently, on this Florida key. He eventually is chosen to sail them or to, boat them to Cuba. And then there's just this really big tense scene on a boat after all this. So I would have to say, as far as overall film, this one definitely captured me a little bit more for the entire film. But this one had a much better first 40 minutes because the point of view shots, the psychedelic visions that Bogart has when he's getting his face surgified, and it's so I can't really pick which one I really liked. I liked both of them. They're both a lot of fun. I love Lauren Bacall. She's just like always just a vision of just cool, tough, never taking any shit from anyone, and just being tough as nails and just awesome at the same time. And oh, I got a little stink bug here. Look at that guy. He loves this movie too. Anyway, thank you for watching NOIRVEMBER, Key Largo, and Dark Passage. I'm sure I'll have a few more before this month is over. Thank you for watching. See you next time.